I'm so glad you got your coffee.
Yes, we'll be very cranky about it. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to see everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Deniss, we know that yesterday wasn't what you wanted, but it was the end of a long, hard season, and you have a lot to be proud of. How are you feeling today?
Still very cranky. Yeah, well, how do I feel? Well, I'm still on my first coffee, so I am starting my day, you know, slowly, one step at a time, and yeah, yesterday kind of didn't leave the most positive inner feeling, but yeah, there was not much but. I'm still getting over that part, so yeah, coffee to help.
Well, and I think you had one of the best short programs that you've had this season here, and lots of support in the crowd. We saw lots and lots of scarves, and people were happy to be there to support you.
Yeah, thank you. This season was a special one. I had a lot of challenges, but overall I managed to go through them actually quite, I'm proud for it. So overall I would say, if I look at it from bird's eye view, it was a great season, all things considered. But yeah, some of the things I thought I could do better, and just like yesterday, well, if I zoom into it, I need some time to recover from it. But yeah, overall I would say it's more positive experience than negative. So
We've been noticing you posting a lot about coffee on your Instagram recently, and I wanted to know, do you have a favorite type of coffee beans? Like, do you look for specific kinds of coffee?
I mean, I am a big coffee drinker, again. I had from China, when I decided to stop absolutely like on the get-go, to the 1 week before Olympics, from none to 3 weeks after I started drinking, back to 9 shots a day. I mean, from one extreme to another, but yes, I am a big on the fragrant coffee. Like, I really like a very nice, relatively soft but flavorful coffee, and I would say more from the like South American coffees. One of my I mean, I like all coffee. Like, honestly, I really like diversity too. So coffee is like such a big culture, so I enjoy it very much.
Would you ever want to go to one of those places where they have all the different types that you can try, and like where you can do like coffee tastings, like a wine tasting? I was like, we're gonna talk about coffee until you drink your coffee, and we're good to go here.
I mean, coffee tasting is definitely one of those things that I think I would really appreciate, but the thing is, if you put me in a room where there's too much coffee, I like coffee maybe a bit too much. But one thing that I would really like, I did a few times in Japan, was tea tasting. That I can handle, that goes smoother. So, but
does coffee replace tea for you, or do you drink both?
I think what I really like about coffee is the way you prepare it yourself, because I'm a big drinker of the mocha, and I love to grind the beans and prepare it properly, warm up the cup, and like enjoy it. It's a bit of mindfulness thing for me, because I try to be, well, focused on my coffee. And it's much more than just the drink or the kick that it gives. it's really part of the process of appreciating basically this whole process. So coffee to me is much more than just a drink. So I think my obsession in a way is because I do need quite a lot of this anchorage in the present moment, and in a way coffee or tea drinking is exactly that for me. Oh, at least one of those things.
We had a lot of people both here and who couldn't be here in person submit questions for you, but I'm going to ask you one question that I've had first, which is, I noticed that you are skating in your warm-ups, you're doing a backspin, your normal direction, and then you're doing a clockwise backspin, and I wanted to know, why did you start doing that, and do you think that everyone should have to learn to skate both directions?
So, okay. I'm sorry, I cannot answer it very shortly and directly.
Okay.
Basically, this season, at the beginning of the season, I started to adjust a little bit my blade position, and I started to uncompensate my compensation in the way I simply was on the feet. And that led to the point that, I needed much longer adjustment period for my spins, and they were not really happening. So me being me, I decided let's do 150 spins in 1 week, which is a lot of spinning. And my body effectively told me I was a bit too ambitious. And that's how I started my process of getting injured. And in order to, afterwards when the whole recovery process started, it's also like, it's one thing to get injured and another thing is to prevent what made you injured. So as a part of this prevention, I needed to unlearn some of the compensations in order to be more balanced in my body. And so I struggled with literally applying pressure on the big toe on the right foot, because again, I skated all my life, not all my life, but pretty much most of it, was quite a strong compensation in my blade. So the moment it got fixed, my body was still not using properly the distribution of the weight, and just simply being in the skate is not the same because it doesn't activate the same muscles as we skate in one direction all the time. So I effectively decided, if I'm good on one side, so I might as well just do it other way and it will fix it. And in reality, it kind of did, because it forced me to do the movement. It also helped me to do my own way movement better, which I guess came from, because I used to do a lot of Tai Chi Chuan, and there's a big emphasis on balance between right and left. So doing other way, in a way, is not just an interesting challenge, but it's also a way to fix a little bit what kind of got hurt, broken, or needed more attention. So as I was doing the exercise, and I'm right-handed, at least in most of the things, I had to start switching to starting things with the left side first, simply because, I had to rewrite some of the patterns that were more like, maybe not subconscious, but I had to balance out, and that led to do many more things right and left. But don't ask about jumps, I almost bloody killed myself there. So, yeah.
But it's something I always think is interesting.
The coffee also, I went decaf.
Okay.
So you see, had to balance it out.
Okay. Yeah, it's always something I think is interesting, because ballet or other things, you're expected to be able to do everything both directions, and we have such a strong idea in skating that you have your direction and you just do it that way.
Well, let's just put it that way. You are not obliged to do one way or another way. It's just that if you skate the other way and everyone skates their normal way, you end up clashing. And that's a little bit what I also did. So when I was just starting this right and left, I had to kind of figure out where is the balance between right and left, because as I decided to do immediately from everything right to immediately everything left, well, it was kind of swinging from extreme to extreme. So, yeah.
Since you were talking about the skates and the blades, one fan had a question, said that a long time ago you did an interview for Doggerfield's TV, and you said that you always kept your skates afterwards when you were done with switching into a new pair. And she wanted to know, do you still keep your old skates?
Yes, actually I started to not just keep them, I started to use them, and my skates have more or less like second, third life. Because I started to, this summer, or end of summer, I started to maybe pay more attention to new feeling when I kind of balanced out my blades to be without compensation. And one of the things that I found in my boots was literally that they always break the same way, and they always have, it's just every single pair ends up broken the same way, more or less. And partly it explained because of the compensation vector of pressure and how just generally foot moves in it. So I decided to unscrew the blades. I knew I needed to use the previous season's blades, and I ended up working off ice in the shoes that I had before, because, well, if I get right now my foot in the previous year's shoe, it will be like I'm starting a new different shoe, because I skate in the Rydell's full leather, and it's like my feet, they have their own life, they evolve in their own way. So I kind of, it's very uncomfortable for me to get in my old skates, which is, I guess, normal. But I gave like now I use my previous skates in order to do some off-ice specific work to benefit my current skating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Great. You posted this summer that you were enjoying some bird watching,
Yes.
and someone wanted to know a little bit more about that. What's your favorite part about bird watching, and do you have a favorite bird?
Well, so one of the attractions of mine was I was in the area of Fribourg, and there is plenty of planes, especially the fighter jets, flying around. So I would say observing these screaming hunters in the air was quite an interesting, can I call that a bird? Yes, that is technically a bird. So, yeah, so the region in itself is a lot of hills, and it's much more open. And that really reminded me a lot about my home region of Daugavpils. And I didn't spend enough time of just finding myself somewhere in the middle of the fields somewhere. So that's what I kind of did in a personal search of just actually moving and processing things. So I ended up finding binoculars, and yeah, I would just drive to the nearest ravine, how to say, and there's a lot of oaks, so it was a beautiful views, and I would see, okay, there's circling harriers, and I would be just observing those beautiful birds and trying to see them. And the idea of bird watching in a way came also from someone sent me a book about mindful bird watching. So I was trying to use the wisdom of that book. And yeah, it's something very special when you're in the nature, when you are able to just appreciate its existence. And in Switzerland, I love a lot that from the city to the nature, it's like one step. There, you don't need to drive miles. So I find it extremely satisfying to just have this moment outside in between practices because I couldn't go anyway back and forth. So yeah, I enjoyed just plain old dirt, grass, beautiful skies with the birds, ladybugs and oaks. And then when I would see the bird more or less circling the same spots, I would go on the trails to try to find their feathers. So I was collecting the feathers of the birds and oaks when they still had the acorns in them, and then I had this genius idea of making something out of it, but the problem is the leaves were falling off, so it didn't last. But hey, it was a good time. It really helped me to process something very important, and in a way also set up myself to the season, because this season I arguably went through much more fortitude than I expected to have, and yeah, it was a good time. It was actually a really good time.
Is there a landscape or ecosystem that you would like to visit that you haven't spent time in, kind of nature you haven't spent time in yet?
Ideally, I would love to have a chance to spend like a full day or night in every single kind of ecosystem or landscape, or how do you call it, like even in a bloody swamp. If everyone can kill mosquitoes though.
Yeah.
So, well, technically Venice is a swamp.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just found that I process very good things on the go when I keep moving, and movement in itself, before I address things by trying to be still, by trying to be grounded, maybe I'm much more effective in learning things and getting through things by simply moving, by simply doing something that is more natural to me. And any space in nature, the same, different, it really gives a good new input, insight, and it actually helped me so much this season, just being outside, moving through the same places, through different, like it was me, myself and I time. So yeah.
We had a Swiss fan who wanted to know, what is your favorite Swiss food?
Wait, I didn't answer the question previous.
Oh,
yeah.
It's okay, we can come back, yes. So
I would love to see the Inca Empire was in Argentina, sparing all the Andes. I would love to see what is there, because that is the least me explored area or region or part, and I would love to see those like alpaca height pastures, and yeah, discover that part of the world. That's the answer to the previous question. Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. So we had a Swiss fan who wanted to know, do you have a favorite Swiss food?
Well, if beef tartare calls a Swiss food, then yes, definitely. It's actually very difficult, because the other time I was thinking, every time someone would answer fondue, for example, well, there is moitié-moitié, there's vacherin, there's few others, like with tomato something, I don't know what else. Like, heck, I even heard about putting apples into the fondue. Like, come on. Like, yeah, I would say out of Swiss things, my favorite Swiss food will be the dessert of it's like a waffle with the white thing and coated in the chocolate. So I think this is my favorite dessert. Produced in Fribourg in Ballet factory. And yeah, I had maybe a bit too much of it at some point as a compensation for my emotional distress. But it really, it's something that I found like always cheered me up, and this is absolutely my favorite. And it's even the wrapping is nice, you know, this yellow, red, and black, like quite aesthetic. So yeah, I would say this is my favorite Swiss food. Oh, actually, decaffeinated coffee comes from Switzerland, so that also counts. That also counts.
Okay.
So decaf coffee, big lover, Swiss food.
That's fascinating. I find it very difficult to get decaf in Switzerland, so that's very interesting to know.
Oh. Yeah, right. But the first method comes from Switzerland.
Okay.
Got to be very proud of that. I mean, there's 3 ways to get a decaffeinated coffee. So I think I would take the Swiss one because it's kind of destroys the least of the taste. So.
Okay. I have more questions, but I want to give an opportunity for those of you who are here in person. If you have a question that you want to ask Deniss, if anyone has something that, that you would like to ask, you can raise your hand. I'll let you think, and in the meantime, I will ask one of my other questions from the list, and then I will come back to you. But yes, somebody wanted to know, first, have you ever played hockey?
Actually, I did, but I was on the wrong skates. I had only one. I discovered that the stick is difficult to control, and I stick to the point of just driving around pretending I'm playing. But it is something that I would love to learn more about hockey in general, because also quite a few good hockey players, one way or another, started as figure skaters. So I'm quite curious to discover more about generally the culture of the hockey. But no, I didn't play, but I tried. At least I got the stick, and I have a photo to prove it.
Okay. When you say in the wrong skates, you were wearing your figure skates to do
Yes.
it?
They didn't like it.
Yeah, I dislocated my knee trying to do that once, so I don't recommend it.
Well, I think that's the reason I don't go to ski yet.
Yes?
I have a question about ballet.
Mm-hmm.
I had many ballet programs, and I love all of them. And you mentioned before that you started ballet training quite early on, and tell us more about that, and also like how it actually changed after you became a figure skater.
Ballet. Well, I still to this day remember the name of the teacher, Rashita. She was demanding. She was, I mean, we did a lot of the bar, the basic and plain bar. And she taught us quite systematically to pay attention to simply controlling inside of your body as much as controlling just general movement of the body. So I really liked, maybe because I spent a bit too much time there, but we had, I think, 3 lessons a week, more or less. And from the very young age, it was the same teacher over and over and over again. At that time, I had multiple skating teachers, but only one ballet teacher. And in the end, we even went to I think it was some sort of camp somewhere around Riga, and there was someone teacher who taught in the Latvian National Ballet House or something, and she actually asked to come for the their selections or something to join their academy, I would say. And I mean, I liked ballet because it was sufficiently rigid and at the same time you can be very free. It's a strange mix between you got to be in a full-on working mode, but at the same time you need to learn to balance it out, because throughout the lesson you have to keep yourself engaged, you got to keep yourself with a certain attitude. I think from very early on I found it be very demanding, but at the same time offering the space for softness to your own choice. So still to this day I remember her basically kind of trying to always find a balance between it. In a simple movements that's supposed to be not to have your thumb sticking out. So I think my biggest thing what I like is just that Rashida was the only person there was to do it. Like, I felt that it was very always there. You could always talk, she would always give you the same hardship, and you would go through it and you feel good at the end. Like, every lesson was always positive, even though it was demanding, and I really liked it from the get-go. And ballet in the end it really shaped a lot in the way I skated. Then later on I understand that skating and ballet is not the same by a landslide, simply from the way you use your distribution of weight and how do you use your body. But it really reinforces body. So later on when I moved more towards Tai Chi Chuan, it was actually much easier transition because of body, ironically, and all the programs is because I think was admiring ballet and going to many performances when I was younger. And the first time when I had a choice in St. Petersburg between going to, in fact, Ballet or on the ice, I chose the ice because, well, we came there for the ice first and foremost. So I was what, 7 years old maybe? So like I always appreciated ballet, but I also ended up running into a little bit of a wall about 4 years ago maybe, a bit more, when I could not appreciate the dance anymore. I could see only like formations, objects movement, and see how they use their body from basically like, it doesn't matter which face, which grace you put on it, I would not see more than a functionality of the movement of the body. So I took a little bit of a breather from ballet and ended up skating the programs. So, but again, now with this mega rule about the musics and selection, I mean, I hope they do something about it, because it's a pain to find the music to skate, to be at least subtly original. So ballet in a way offers a good escape, because most of the musics are already a long time done. And what I like about classical music, it's a lot about those emotions and nature. So I connect much easier with that in comparison to a new version of the techno for opening, for example. So, but I'm happy to explore things, and yeah, I just find figure skating to like more classical approach to it, a bit more satisfying, a bit more like figure skating in my mind is quite old, culturally framed sport, and I wish to see more that we would as a skaters go through at least basics in the dance, because I guess even if you go modern dancing, you still go through the basics, and the basics are basically Pilates, ballet, like it's a movement in a space, it's an awareness. And I think figure skaters in general could really benefit from that. So you will be introduced to beauty of a classical music, or you will have a nap It also worked. And it's important to take a rest, right?
Speaking of taking rest, somebody wanted to know, what would your ideal like vacation be? Like if you have a week to be on vacation, what would you want to do? Or not do?
My ideal vacation would be no vacation. I would say my version of vacation is okay, let's go around the mountain. But like currently, or at least this season, I decided to try pretty much everything I could. Okay, all smart things to try, and ended up running at my worst about 27 different projects. So my head, like, I cannot rest while I'm running. If something burns, it burns. I don't know how to say, okay, let's take a breather. So as I keep processing things, like movement is one of the things that keeps me going. So taking a rest or day off or something that's, I don't know, I lived my life pretty much in constant like work. Even on a day off, I do things. Like before my days off, I would always take for writing a coffee, for example. Now I ended up doing other things on my day off. It always kept me, like, I feel very guilty to stop when I have things happening that need my attention. So I don't really know how to have a day like vacation, and even on my vacation I would rather go explore bloody Rome or something. So again, like,
Having a change more than rest.
I need more like like input. That's what helps me with things. I need more ideas and things coming in to feel actually solving things.
Just would like to comment that is a vacation. A vacation is to do something different than you do normally.
Then I am champion at vacation.
Vacation doesn't mean just lying somewhere and doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like, usually, historically, or just the way my school time was, the vacation of figure skating always came at the time when I had to really cram a lot for my exams. So it was just great because you would stop skating, or at least don't focus so much at it, and you would just bury yourself in the books. So it was kind of, you know, a way to swap one thing the other way. But I really want, oh, maybe I had a bit too much coffee. I really want to find a time or take this year to conclude all the things that the projects and stuff that is happening, to have the moment of like, okay, now I actually have nothing to stress about. I'm certain it will not happen, but I will still try.
I think we have time for one or two more questions. Does somebody else want to ask here? Yes. Yes, I see a hand, but I don't see your face. Yes.
You're driving, right? So how you can rate your driving skills from 1 to 10?
It depends who you ask.
Why?
You know, my first driving lesson, Chris was teaching me how to drive. So he decided, you know what? After we just did some parking stuff. Okay, let's take a mountain road where you literally do not see who is behind the corner, and if you need, and the road is so narrow, like you don't have 2 lanes. So if you need to crisscross or something, like you will have most likely to back off somewhere in hopes that you just narrowly squeeze through. And so we end up driving, and later on I discovered that apparently you start much simpler things, and which Chris told me, you know what, if you can make from a get-go difficult, you'll be fine. So my driving experience was I learned manual, and I managed only a few times to stall the car, ironically on the straight lines. And I consider myself to be a very good driver if I'm not distracted, because I do like admiring a beautiful architecture and stuff when I drive. So yeah, I am often reminded to stay on the wheel and look in front of myself, and that's why the cars that got this when you have a windshield and you have the speed in front of you, this is literally the criteria about having a car to me, because looking down, I mean, I can do it, but I always feel it extremely uncomfortable because I cannot then fully appreciate the things around. So, and also I learned that you have to use the right-left things for the other people. Because, yeah, it was a bit of a, when I had to pass a test, I had to literally like, so, because to me it's like, okay, no one there, fine, let's go. But apparently you really have to like visually do the whole acrobatics behind the wheel and try not to use the wheel at the same time. So, but again, I started passing my exam from they asked me to laterally park, and I had done it I don't know how many times, but I was very confident I will do it. So I ended up in a space of, let's say, to park 2 cars. I ended up getting so close in too early, and then I'm like, with literally this, how do you call it? The stick, literally like, I would orientate by how close to the light was reflecting to the stick, like this maybe 15 times till I finally parked, to then the guy saying, you know what, next time just exit and repark. You have that opportunity. So, yeah. I think I'm a relatively very good driver if I am sticking to the road and do not use my phone, which I really try. And, well, yeah. I try not to use my phone. But today cars are quite advanced. I really hate that function when they start to beep to you when you cross the line and things. Like, come on.
I was going to ask if you had to learn in a car with a backup camera or no.
No, my very, very first learning experience was the old Citroën, and it was like as plain and mechanical as they come. So, yeah, I had to learn like, yeah, I think I spent about, because I was passing also exam on it, I had to, like, I spent a good hour just measuring more or less where is the size, how it goes, and I really took it very serious. But no, I think I'm a fairly good driver. But again, you can very quickly become not good. One of the experience was someone, so it was yellow light, and every car was moving because it was not the rush hour, but yeah, it was like cars were moving. It turned yellow, and to me it's like, okay, I'm still having 3 cars, so I slammed the brakes, because to me it's yellow. I'm not going to call it orange. And someone straight into the back of the car, and that's the first time I experienced like state of the shock. Like I'm like, okay, I got hit, and I'm slowly rolling forward. So and then I'm like, okay, probably I should stop. right? Okay, let's stop. And your body is like, buddy, hello, stop, stop. And you're like super slowly like rolling forward. So yeah, at the end I managed to stop and everything, and then we had to make a report. And from the place where I got hit, where I was fine, I managed to roll already like 3.5 meters, and my car is literally kind of standing in the center, in like just before the cross section, already sticking out. So, and I was also running late for my lesson with Philippe. So, yeah, that was, I would say that was quite a moment, but I was like, and that was not from the coffee. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, the people that ended up running into me, they just were going from an overnight shift and they were really rushing home, so. Me.
Katerina, you had a question you want to ask? No? Okay. Just wanted to know how you've enjoyed Prague so far, and if you've gotten to
It's
see
beautiful.
anything. Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, coming for the events is not the same as just enjoying the city. But from everything I have so far seen, it's really lovely. I love the old things, because in the area where we are, there's all new things. It's all new construction, and here you can actually see a more old European or more medieval style, and like this building in itself is quite something. So I truly appreciate where you can see much more cultural, or get those cultural experiences. So I really, really like being in the like historic cities.
Did you recognize any of the buildings from the medieval Total War?
Well, I think they were built a little bit later than the time when the video game come from, but again, I always chose to avoid a little bit this Balkan area, because it's ethnically so diverse and so different and so rich, and I always focused on much more clear-lined areas, especially in video games, because again, yeah, I mean, that's a long story.
Okay.
But yeah, I was, because I used to play some video games before, and in one of them I spent maybe not hours, but I tanked a whole economy of a whole kingdom into creating the textbook perfect, heavy armored clad force. And I was proud for it, because to achieve that feat, I had to really crank up the economy and survive long enough to make it. And then I ended up declaring war with the Prague being capital. And I learned a very good lesson that you need to have a balance, because they completely wrecked my army. So, yeah, I learned not always the heavy hammer helps. So, yeah, that's actually what we were talking when we were going here. So, yeah, I mean, that's a whole different story, and taken out of the constant context, it's a little bit like, yeah, but
Okay.
maybe some other time.
We have some presents for you. And so I want to shift. So I think what we will do is we have some messages. So this really is a project that I want to credit also Kinga for coming up with and organizing. And a lot of people very quickly, since yesterday, made you a folder of messages of support.
Thank you.
We also have some presents.
So this is going to be a lot of
Yes, it looks very long because it's printed on like essay computer paper instead of like nice little pretty slips.
I have
but
to
it's
say,
mostly short
I
messages.
really appreciate like the messages, the writing. Like, I'm truly grateful. So thank you so much, because that in a hard day, it really helps. So thank you so much. What was done, that was delivered to me in China, was, I think, a very heartwarming moment. So I'm really, really, really grateful. And in my basement, or I don't know, I can call it a man cave, whatever works. I have the when I got like the map of from where everyone comes as fans. So I got the map and the statistics written there at some point. So I truly appreciate the kind words. So thank you. Thank you.
We have about 40 minutes left that we have this space for. Do you have time to have some one-on-one conversation?
I mean, please.
We do a line? Yeah.
Go for it. I'm happy.
So I want to ask, just so that we have time, if you have not been to a fan meeting before, maybe to come close to the front, and then if you've been to these before, that you give those space for people to come first. That way, if we run out of time, we will have, hopefully everyone will get to spend a little bit of time together, but that way we can do it in order. Sorry, that was not a very clear sentence. If you have not been to a fan meeting before, you've not met Deniss before, please come to the front of the line.
I mean, Deniss pretty much didn't sleep the whole night, so if he can say something that probably he would not normally say, that's today.
Well, thank you, Deniss. And I can just give a round of applause, because I think we all really appreciate it.
No questions, nothing, all good? Okay. All right.
So we will make a little line, I think. So if you want to speak to Deniss or have an autograph or photo, then, oh,